it's very important to everybody to know what your plans are with regards to, are we going to be paying more tax, for example? I know it was a big part of APC's policy in the last 16 years, which is why internally generated revenue has grown. But people say there's a lot more that still needs to be done. So people are saying, oh, we're paying too much. What is your policy on tax?
Well, we're talking about fairer taxes. So it wouldn't be correct to say we're going to pay more, we're going to pay less. We're going to pay fairer taxes. I think the issue is that, I mean, government lives on taxes and must live on taxes. So let me be very clear that government must collect taxes. But having said that, government cannot be seen or should not be overburdening the citizens or those captured in this tax net in a way that, you know, it's like you're carrying some burden that you may not survive, you know. So you've got to have fairer taxes.
So how will your policy differ from what's happening now?
You know, what happens today is government, in wanting to raise money, takes advantage of the regulatory agencies to raise money in a wrong manner. You set up a regulatory agency, it has a major objective. But what you find today is that the major objective of those regulatory agencies is revenue generation, rather than what they were set up for. So if you have a LASMA, for example, if your LASMA's objective is to ensure free flow of traffic, but God help you if LASMA catches you for anything, then they're going to ask you for your tax clearance. They're going to ask you if it's a company. They're going to ask you for the director's tax clearance. They're going to fine you heavily, and you're wondering that, hey, all I had was a traffic contravention. Why all this? You know, it's like you're caught and you got to cough out everything. So if you have a LASA, or you even want to apply you want to build a house, for example, you want to apply for approved plans for construction permit, and government, you know, the whole essence of applying is to ensure that what you want to build is not going to collapse on anybody's head, and to make sure that it's right. But government puts these fees that are such that it discourages people from even coming forward to apply. And so you find that some of the fallout is that a lot of houses that are being built today, people are just not coming forward to apply, and they're building without that. Again, it's discouraging people from investing in housing because of those kinds of restrictions. So what I'm saying is, you got to pay taxes, no doubt about that, but it's got to be fair taxes, and that's very important.
Still on tax, and I want to ask something very personal. You've been called a tax evader.
Yeah.
And I know you've addressed that before.
Yeah.
What's the story behind that?
Oh, very simple. Politics. I was called a serial tax evader. You know, I was shocked when I heard. I didn't even believe it. Because before, just about 2 weeks before, I got a letter from the Lagos State government, direct to Jimi Agbaje, a letter of appreciation as to say, you know, saying how good I was in paying my land use charge. In fact, this wasn't even tax; it was land use charge. The issues as to how I was very good at paying my land use charge and blah 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 blah. So 2 weeks after, I then hear that I'm being called a serial tax evader, and I'm like, hang on, that can't be. I have a letter. But then after that, you then had a situation where they say, okay, it's not you now, it's your company. Now, yes, it's my company, and I'm not disowning the company. But this is a company that I ran up till 2006. I've not been involved in the direct running of the company. I'm an investor. It's my company. But then I couldn't respond immediately because I had to ask those in the company, are you owing land use charge? And everything was explained. We brought this out, but in a nutshell, is to say that that wasn't true. And the company came out and said it wasn't true. But then, like I said, it has to be politics. Because even when my company issued a statement, you know, actually stating everything that they were not owing, the governor came out again after that to say, oh, in fact, Jimi Agbaje has now accepted and has now paid 500,000. And I'm like, hang on, what's going on here? Nothing had been paid. If I'm going to call, if somebody's a serial person, I think it would be the person who's been telling the serial lies, not me.
let's still stick with the personal questions now, because I know that you have a lot of fans, and I use that word very, very strongly because I know people who say I will vote Jimi Agbaje regardless of what party he's in, and this didn't start today. It's 2007.
Yes.
And those same people have expressed a few doubts recently, especially with there was a youth party that happened at the Echo Hotel with Mr. President, where you spoke, and people said he's not sounding like the guy we know anymore. You talked about General Buhari saying, "Oh, if I pass our candidate," things like that.
Okay.
That you had watered down your personality and your campaign. Why are you making that shift?
No, I think you got to understand that you got different audiences and you got different messages for the audiences. I mean, this is a different audience. I'm talking to you differently. If you go into a rally kind of audience, you're not speaking for too long. You've got 2-3 minutes. Basically, is to excite them, is to make them feel good, and that was it. So it has nothing to do with this or that. I mean, I said a lot of other things. And I say different things at different times. But whatever I say,
don't you feel like this campaign should have risen above a place where we're having personal attacks, especially on things that are baseless?
I'm someone that is more about ideas, because in any case, that's what it should be, and that's the honest truth. It has to be about ideas rather than personalities. I am definitely not for negative campaigns. It's not my style. But then we've been dragged into this, and sometimes you just have to respond.
Yeah.
It's like the cereal thing. My first reaction was not to respond until I got hammered once. I got hammered twice. Then you say, come, I can also hammer.
Still sticking with that now, because a lot of people have said he's not sort of a PDP guy. He joined them because he wants to win Lagos State governorship. And we saw this thing on social media. I'm not one of them. I'm not, all of that. Is it are you a PDP member? Are you proud of that party?
I don't know what you mean by he's not a PDP guy. And that's being honest. If you say that where I started my politics was somewhere and I've moved, yes. But to say I'm not a PDP, I'm asking, what's a PDP guy? What makes you a PDP guy and what makes you an APC guy? At the level of development of our politics, you've got people that have moved both sides, and it's like when they move, then they become some other guy. So no, there's nothing like being one of. When I say I'm not one of them, what the message is that I'm not your typical politician. So it has nothing to do with the party. It's got to do with politics in general. You tend to look at politicians, they tell lies, they do this. I want to believe that people.
Does that include people in your party?
Yeah, that's what. No parties and politicians. That's why I say I'm not one of them. In other words, I'm not your typical politician. I want you to see me for what I am. If I tell you something, I want you to believe what I'm saying. So I'm not saying things just for saying sake. And I think that's what's working for me. So the day I begin to say things that are not true, things I don't mean, then I'll be in trouble. I want you to be able to look back at the last 8-10 years and say, what did Jimmy stand for 8 years ago? Has he moved from that point? What am I selling today? Am I saying that the things that I sold, the ideas I sold 8 years ago, have I done a turnaround on them today? No, I haven't. So it's irrelevant what party I am. I'm still standing for those same things that I believe in. And that's what matters.
Before I go to the final question, very, very quickly now, what are your thoughts and relationship with Olabode George?
He's a party leader. He's my party leader in Lagos, and that's a statement of fact. I'm not his stooge, if that's what you want to hear. And those who know me know that I'm nobody's stooge. So if that's what you want to hear, there's nothing like that. He's the party leader. But I think, again, we've got to be very fair. And this is something I would stick, again, like I said, I'm not a typical politician, so I'll say it, and for whatever it's worth. We've got to accept one thing. It's either you believe in the rule of law or you do not believe in the rule of law. Now, if a man is charged to court and is sentenced for a crime, and a superior court reverses that crime, that sentence, then he's not guilty.
Okay.
So it's either you accept it, but it's not fair to take something when you think it favors you.
All right, we have
and
to
that's
wrap it up.
important.
Just final word now to Lagosians. I don't know if you have anything to say to them.
Well,
quickly before we go.
It's election time again. Mine is, you've got to go out there and vote. I take my example. My vote was annulled many years ago. And since then, I've never been the same. And that's what really put me into activism, into politics. You've got to go out there and vote. Vote your choice, but vote right. Vote for who you believe in. That's important. Don't be discouraged. Nigeria is going to get much better.
Amen.
Lagos, even much better.
Thank you very much, Jimi Agbaje. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Good luck with your election.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for coming. We'll take a very big break now. We'll be right back. Please stay with us.
Okay.